Hello, hello. Welcome to Media Queen TV. This is our 2025 series, episode 8, and we have two extraordinary ladies here with us today who I've known for probably 20 years each, and we've never actually done the kind of event that we're doing together coming up, which is the Animal Action Film Festival coming up on October 5 at Currumbin RSL. Now, they're both extraordinary filmmakers, extraordinary. Lynn Santer with a Y, that's Lynn Santer here on one side, we know as the Lady of the Lake. Actually, Lynn means Lady of the Lake, believe it or not, and Lynn just happens to live on the lake, and she's a huge crusader for helping to end trophy hunting of endangered animals, and has done a Land of the Free series, which is extraordinary, multi-award winning across the globe. And has supported nearly all of our Animal Action events. And this is our 19th annual Animal Action event coming up. She's also someone who initially, 20 odd years ago when I was a journalist at The Sun, she approached me about the eels in the lake that were eating the cygnets, little baby swans in the lake. And that was one of the very first stories we ever did together. And ever since then, she's been a massive animal crusader, an extraordinary lady who keeps overcoming massive challenges. And then our other Lynn today, our beautiful Lynn Sutherland with an I, she's a filmmaker, wildlife ambassador with over 90 broadcast shows on international TV. She runs Travel Wild TV. She's an absolute trooper. She's constantly traveling the globe and doing amazing coverage of our environment and being a stand for our animals. And hence our topic today, what's really harming animals. It is a broad topic. We do invite you to be part of the conversation. If you're tuning in right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're tuning in, welcome. We're going to be going for about an hour today, and it's going to be awesome. So welcome to our two Lynns. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi.
So great.
Thanks for having us, Aldwyn.
Oh, so great to have you here. And our beautiful animals, of course, I must say, I have always loved animals from a very young age. I'd love to hear your background story of where your love for animals started. Let's start with Lynn Santer today, who is, of course, the Land of the Free Lynn, we'll call her for this show. Where did your love for animals start and your mission to help animals?
Okay. It goes back a long way. I mean, I was born with an innate love for animals. I mean, even earthworms in the garden, which didn't thrill my mother when I was a small child. But where the crusading for African endangered species came from was my father. I'm born and raised in London, and my father was chief research officer and ultimately managing director of an international pharmaceutical company. And there's some irony involved in that. But he was also a mad keen amateur photographer, which is probably where my documentary making skills were spawned. But when he would travel to Africa on research, he would go with a small suitcase of clothes, a large suitcase of Super 8 film gear, as it was back then, and he had a full-blown cinema built in the attic of our London home. So from a very, very small child, I was watching my daddy's homemade David Attenborough style documentaries of endangered animals in Africa, which he would add the sound effects to, narration to, and music. And I'd get all my little friends up to our attic cinema and we'd watch them together. So it was just absolutely mesmerizing, as you can imagine, for a small child. This was made by my daddy. And I never looked back. I mean, I was hooked from that moment. So that's where it began for me.
Magnificent. And I'm very grateful to have met your remarkable father while he was alive, and extraordinary man and a strong man. And you've certainly become a very strong woman as well, very much influenced from your father and your mother, who is about to turn 90, extraordinary. And you've done such a great job caring for her. It's a huge mission to look after aging parents, as I'm also going through that as well at the moment. So I take my hat off to you, juggling that as well as everything else you're juggling. It's extraordinary. And our Travel Wild TV, Lynn Sutherland with Lynn with an I, Forget the two Ronnies here. We've got the two Lynns, and this is going next level here, and both from the Gold Coast too. Can you imagine? So Lynn, Travel Wild TV, Lynn, where did your love for animals start?
I think it was in my DNA, because I think I've loved animals since the day I was born. I grew up in Sydney. Well, I was actually born in Tasmania, but I grew up in Sydney. So most of my memories come from Sydney. We lived near bush tracks, so we were surrounded by forest on 3 sides. And so I spent my life, as a neglected child in the bush, riding around. And I had a mother who was a wildlife carer. So we always were looking after animals. And I think it's from a very young age, I realized that animals were getting the raw end of the stick on this planet, whether it be a bat that I rescued from being hurt by the wires. And I took him home and I got him better, and he was like a little puppy dog with wings, and it was just adorable. Or a possum that we rescued from a cat attack, or something that had been hit by a car. We were always looking after or rescuing something. And my grandfather was the head of forestry for Australia. So he was a man that, talked about forests, and around the world and how to protect forests. So he used to, we used to learn through him the importance of forest ecosystems and keeping the forest ecosystems intact. And he was actually a man that started clear felling, but he did it to take the pressure off the old growth, not to replace the old growth. So there was mythology behind that. My father, he's an earth scientist, so he was always talking about how the earth's made up, the rocks and the gemstones, the molten lava, how incredible the planet is. So I think with those 3 kind of sort of directions of input, it was in my DNA to do something with nature. So I always loved wildlife. I had dogs as a kid, and of course I always had wildlife species that I'd be putting in my jumper, taking to school to look after or something like that. So I was a mother to these little animals that had lost their parents. So yeah, I wanted to do something about making sure that animals were more protected in our society, because we kind of saw them as something different, but I saw them just like us, beautiful little beings that help, create this magic earth that we live in. So yeah. And I started diving. Probably the most thing that put the whole thing into perspective was the fact when I started diving later in life, I did 10,000 dives to understand our marine ecosystem. So I used to get people telling us, what's wrong with our marine ecosystem. And I'd look at them and go, oh, no, you don't understand the connections. You're missing the links, And then I'd be talking to scientists, and they would say, I haven't got a degree, or I haven't got this expertise. And I'd go, how many dives have you done? And they'll go, well, I don't even dive, some of them. And I go, okay. Well, I had the school of life. So I think I have some knowledge in that direction, in the fact that I watched animals every day in, day out, to my knowledge. So that's my background.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And one thing I loved to do as a kid was watch the David Attenborough documentaries. I was mesmerized. I just, every time I saw any David Attenborough documentaries or animal documentaries, I was just absolutely mesmerized by the extraordinary animals out there. And I know, David's someone who's been a massive crusader for animals, and has been very upset over the years at what we've been doing to the planet and to our animals. And, I don't even know how many endangered species we have now, but I'm sure it's huge. And even on the Gold Coast, they just keep cutting trees down on the Gold Coast, and I just feel so sorry for the animals that are losing their habitat. So both of you have got films that you're going to be showing at the Animal Action Film Festival coming up. I'd love to chat about these films and the history of them. So if we could go to Lynn Santer now for Land of the Free, which has been 20 years in the making. If you could share about what you're going to be showing at the film festival.
Sure. Well, once I graduated from mesmerized to donor to activist over a period of decades from my young childhood years, and I learned how dire the situation was with so many endangered species, some of which during that time we have lost, and what the various causes of that were. I had avoided going to Africa of all places, because as my childhood mind had built it up to be something so enormous from my father's films that my adult mind told me if I went there, I would burst the bubble and it would never be the same. So I traveled all over the world and avoided going to Africa until a series of circumstances collided, and I said, right, now is the time. And my first trip to Africa, far from bursting the bubble, exceeded expectations, which was impossible. In a number of ways I would love to talk to you about, but not directly relevant to the question at hand. And I became overwhelmed, massively depressed, realizing the problem was so big and one person couldn't possibly tackle it all, until I learned, well, you don't have to tackle it all. The ocean is not a vast body of water. It is made up of individual drops, and we are all those drops, and together we form a tsunami. And that was when I decided to focus on the legal trophy hunting of endangered species to bring awareness to the seedy underbelly of that industry. And I came up against phenomenal obstacles, including finance being withdrawn, including death threats. I mean, this is a massively powerful industry, both financially and politically, and there is monstrous, in every sense of the term, monstrous opposition to getting the truth out there and to getting this heinous, barbaric and outdated alleged sport banned from the face of the earth as one of the last remaining stains on the whole soul of humanity. So I commenced the process of getting these documentaries made with a partner in Hollywood, and I started to gather a formidable group of people around me, and celebrities, in wildlife experts, in entrepreneurs who were prepared to put finance in camera crews, and we actually started filming just as the pandemic struck, which, needless to say, presented some challenges, but happily also some cost savings, because suddenly Zoom became acceptable. And I appointed camera crews all over the world. I mean, this film was shot in multiple locations around the world. And my partner in Hollywood and I would Zoom in to direct. So juggling all those time zones was quite something. And getting access to all the information and daring to put it out there was quite something. And I had no idea what sort of reception we would receive. I made some remarkable friends during the process, including the inspirational Mzansi Youth Choir of Soweto, who composed original songs and soundtracks for the film, which has won awards in its own right, and Richard Loring, the creator of African Footprint, who provided the title soundtrack for both of my films, who's now just become a lifelong friend. I feel like I've known him my entire life. And this film won Best of Festival at the very first festival it appeared at, which was in Los Angeles. But the two films have now gone on to win in over 55 locations around the world. It's just mind-blowing. Wow. I just received another award 2 days ago, the physical trophy. I was aware of the win a little while ago. And it's huge. I have a baby grand piano at home, which is littered now with trophies, which is gratifying, because not just because of the ego rub, but because the more trophies you get, the more exposure this film is getting, geographically and demographically. So numbers wise, you name a country, one or both of my films have probably appeared there. And this latest one, it was actually crafted by the same people who make the Oscars. So it was a real thrill to receive that on my doorstep the other day. And we have now, it's not an on-off switch, the trophy hunting situation. You've got to look at the carriers. So the airlines now, over 70 airlines have got a full or partial ban on carrying trophies from legally trophy hunted animals. You've got to look at the countries where it is happening, and there are different kinds of trophy hunting. There's wild trophy hunting, there's canned trophy hunting, and we're making very strong inroads to getting canned trophy hunting, which probably requires some further explanation, banned completely at the country of origin. You've got to look at the countries that allow these animals to come in, which included Australia until quite recently. Australia did have a ban on lions and some of the big five, but it excluded bans on giraffe and zebra and hippo, which we now have in place. So good for Australia.
Wow.
But
Right.
England still permits the import of even polar bears, highly endangered polar bears. Even the USA, the capital of trophy hunting, bans the import of polar bear pelts. But Britain still allows it. So it's country by country to ban the import, and it's country by country to ban the practice, and it's carrier by carrier to ban the shipping. So it just isn't an on-off switch. It's a multi-layered, extremely complex issue with massive opposition from very powerful, self-interested people. But there are too many of us now to stop it around the world. So death threats don't frighten us anymore. The momentum is on our side. Public opinion is on our side. And inch by inch, anything's a cinch. As I say at the end of both films, this might be a David and Goliath battle, but let's not forget something. David won.
Yes, I love that. Now, huge congratulations for the exposure that you have had for this extremely horrific, totally brutal, the sport of trophy hunting. I just do not get it, how people can kill endangered animals for fun. And then, of course, they say it's for environmental reasons, right? Totally sick, psychopathic behavior that's been happening for years.
The con in conservation, that is.
Yes, a con in conservation. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember you saying ages ago that there's more trophy hunters than there are actual animals or game. Is that right? There's actually
Anyone can do anything with statistics, but looking at the most highly endangered species on the planet and how many of them there are versus how many trophy hunters there are. Yes, there are more trophy hunters than the most critically endangered species, which is bone chilling. But these trophy hunters don't always go after the most endangered. Some of them will go out and kill 15,000 birds because it was fun, or go out after a track and get drunk and just shoot monkeys out of trees because it's fun. My hero in London, who's the head of the campaign to ban trophy hunting over there, who's fearless and tireless and inspirational, Eduardo Gonzalez, has just released 3 books and a film on the subject, and I'm working with him to extend the campaign globally now, with some of my celebrity contacts, some of his celebrity contacts, approaches to the United Nations, a mission to abolish trophy hunting altogether. There's huge work underway, and he's done some very jaw-dropping interviews in the United States lately, and he's working very closely with politicians that I've worked with very closely in the UK to get the trophy hunting import ban through there that the Queen committed to in her last address to Parliament in 2019.
Wow. You have had some extraordinary celebrities support your cause. Could you share some of the celebrities that have been behind this, and in fact some that are going to feature in the film that you are showing at the Animal Action Film Festival as well?
Sure. Well, Tippi Hedren has been a very close friend of mine for well over 25 years now, well over. And of course, she's Alfred Hitchcock's iconic star of The Birds, Melanie Griffith's mother, Dakota Johnston's grandmother, and she's run Big Cat Sanctuary in Acton, which is north of Los Angeles, for over 40 years now, which I've had the privilege to stay in on several occasions. And she pulls no punches in my film whatsoever. So that's one of them. And of course, the other one is the woman everybody seems to want to meet, who is Priscilla Presley, who is a very close personal friend of mine, and went against all her agents and managers' advice by appearing for free. And she also didn't hold back in either film, it has to be said, and she's done a lot to promote it herself as well, and she's appeared at some of the screenings too, which has obviously helped draw in audiences. But she has been just such a delight to work with. She's so gracious, so giving, so charming, and off-screen shares a wicked sense of humour with me.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
Cliff Simon, of course. Cliff Simon was extraordinary from Stargate, who
Cliff Simon, who played
passed away,
Lord
unfortunately.
Baal, the sexy, sinister system lord, Lord Baal, on Stargate SG-1, who I can't tell you how I adored that man. And when I got to know him and I started talking about my plans for these films, he said, I'm not going to let anybody else narrate it, don't you? But those were his words to me. I'm not going to let anybody else narrate it. And he did a marvelous job of narrating it. It was such a treat to work with this incredibly talented, incredibly sexy, you've met him, gorgeous man.
Yes.
When I told him that I had Mazanzi composing the original songs and original soundtrack for the film, he said, they are the soul of Africa. Cliff actually was South African originally, so this very much spoke to his heart and soul as well. And you can see when he narrates it, the passion in his eyes, in his voice. Yeah, marvelous man. A terrible, terrible loss in a very suspicious freak accident right after he filmed for me.
Yes, right. How interesting. Well, I'm sure he's going to be watching over us, and this is ultra special too, because I believe this is the first time you're actually going to be at a public screening of this film. Is that correct?
It is
at the film festival.
Originally, because of the pandemic, and subsequently because I've become the full-time carer for my mother, who is housebound. I have had my film screened in 55 locations around the world where I have not been present. I've had, partners, representatives, people who've been in the film have attended many of those screenings, not all of them. I mean, we've won in some places, in Russia, in Japan, in Dubai, in Mumbai, where we've done no lobbying and had no physical presence, and still won in festivals in those countries, which is quite remarkable. But in Rome was another one. But in UK, in the USA, we had physical presence, representatives of mine of some sort or another.
Is that my internet?
But I have never attended
can you hear me,
the
Lynn?
screening. I beg your pardon?
Yeah, but you're
In
cutting in
Sutherland?
and out. You're cutting in and out, Aldwyn.
Well,
keep talking. I can hear you, Lynn.
So
Santer?
what I was saying was I'd never attended any of the screenings or any of the award ceremonies until
you can hear
November.
it? Okay.
Last November was the first awards ceremony that I was able to attend, and we won the first time in Australia.
I can't hear it at all. The black screen for me. That's very odd.
Your screening of the film on October the 5th will be the first time that I attended a public screening of my own.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
That's very special. Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I've just learnt more from you in in a short period of time, Lynn, than I had knowing you for so long. And it's kind of like you're a person after my own heart. So interestingly, your film is very focused on trophy hunting. And I think one of the things I look at when I'm trying to protect animals as well is not just the animals, because we're giving them such a hard time. And I think you're right. It's a mentality of us. If we can treat an animal like that, then how can we not expect to be treated like that as well?
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And that is,
so it makes you wonder those people that
comes through very clearly in my film, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine that those people, if they can do that to an animal, then imagine how they'll inflict that on someone else, or have that kind of
100%.
attitude in business and in corporation.
In fact, yeah, one of the people we have speaking in the film that's going to screen on October the 5th is a fellow called John Thompson, who is the Deputy Director of the National Sheriff's Association in the USA, and he speaks in front of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., where he lives, and he talks about how serial killers all begin as animal abusers, all of them.
Yeah, right. That's an interesting point. And I think that part of your films that where you directly see people that can inflict it in that direction, my approach when I'm trying to protect wildlife is individual situations like yours, where I took on the poaching and illegal trade of animals as well when I did my South African films. But the other things I look at too is we have to protect their entire ecosystem. Because if these people who are often high-powered corporate people or executives can get into power of a company, they'll make decisions within that company that, you know, whether it be a development or whether it be a decision they have to make in a big kind of position, they will make those kind of decisions that disorientate or disconnect from nature. And that's the problem I think we have, that we believe we stand above nature. Yeah, we stand above nature. And it's for me, some of the films that I'll be showing Aldwyn on the night to protect the entire ecosystem of animals, because it's an ecosystem that is of vital importance for all of us, including.
Well, I think what we have to come to terms with is we are not masters of this planet, we are custodians of it.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's something that's the missing link in, you know, the inconvenient truths is humanity is only a part of it. And we rely on all the ecosystems or all the animals maintaining the fabric of life. And some of the shows that I'll be filming, I haven't got my exact lineup yet, Aldwyn. I'm working on that. But they'll all be, I'll be looking at Australian wildlife, what's happening with it. I'll be having a look at what's happening with the ecosystems. Why are we losing? Why have we got this ecological change? You know, they call it climate change, but what causes climate change? Because climate change is just a word that we come up with, but there's something causing this ecological collapse. And it's highly explainable. It's actually quite simple to see when you look at the truth of what's causing destruction of environment. So if you take out all the missing links of the animals, these are the kind of films that I'll show on the night. So I might show a marine one, because I'll probably not show an entire one. I'll probably show a couple of shorter sections of some of my film, and I'll try and tackle on a marine one, perhaps a forest one, and of course the Australian wildlife, what's happening with our iconic wildlife. Why are koalas getting shot in trees? I want to know the answer to that question. And why is the energy minister authorizing that? What has an energy minister got to do with killing koalas? Like, that's not, there's something missing there. That the truth is not being told in that scenario. Why are they closing whole national parks to kill brumbies? So I'm going to tackle the brumbie equation, because they're trying to finger point brumbies at being the problem of what's causing all this environmental damage. But when we looked at the science is incorrect, because the things that are causing more damage in those high mountains are man-made scenarios, you know, big industry scenarios. And this is, I guess, the thing about the truth is not being told to the general public, because when you look at media and their ownerships in the background, what do the media companies own? Because they've divested their interests into things like energy holdings or, you know, whatever it happens to be. So we've got a lot of corporate structures here, you know, the inconvenient truth, I hear it, the thing that's harming the planet at the moment, which I think we'll all agree, is greed. Greed and corruption and, you know, these
100.
kind of things.
Greed and
So,
corruption.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, and as they say, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And you know, a lot of people think, oh gosh, these issues are so huge. What can I do as little old me? Which is actually why I actually started the Animal Action events. I thought, well, if everyone just takes some action, we're going to make a difference. And I think we need a lot more than that too. So what are some things that people can do to actually take action? Who are tuning in right now? So if we go to firstly to Lynn Santer there on the trophy hunting, what are some things people can do to help end this absolute?
Well, there really are things you can do, and we've proven that, you know, my little catchphrase of the ocean isn't a vast body of water, it's made up of individual drops, and together we become a tsunami, is demonstrably true. So go to a website. I'm sorry, I didn't put this link up. It's not one of mine. bantrophyhunting.org. That's the UK headquarters. And of course, you can donate, but it will tell you many other things you can do. And the most powerful thing you can do is write a letter, and preferably an old-fashioned steam letter with a stamp on it. They do have more impact. To the relevant politicians whose names and addresses you will find on that site, and urge them, and especially with information that you will find in my films, but just whatever talks to your heart, to get this law through. I mean, we went through all of the rounds of the private members' bills a few years back, 3 rounds in the House of Commons, and it was scheduled for the 3 rounds in the House of Lords, which is full of trophy hunters. And it stalled only at the very last hurdle, when it was basically filibustered out by self-interested trophy hunting lords who tabled 63 questions to be covered individually in the 2 hours that we had allotted, and they only had time for 5, all of which were either voted down or withdrawn. But because they didn't get through them all, it was filibustered, and then it went back to the beginning in the House of Commons, and then a general election was called. Every political party, including the one in power now and the one who was past in power, has had in their manifesto in the UK that they will ban the imports of trophy hunting. Well, let's see it happen. So what can you do? Go to bantrophyhunting.org, find out who to write to, and write to them. And it does have an impact, because the more of an avalanche of letters they receive, the more action they will take. Obviously, there are other major global issues at the moment, which understandably are taking priority, but don't let up the pressure. So
Yes.
go to that site, write those letters.
Thank you so much, Lynn Santer. That's awesome. Land of the Free. Go to bantrophyhunting.org and write those letters, as she says. And now, Lynn Sutherland, Travel Wild TV, what can people do to help the Brumbies and some of the animals that you're standing for?
Well, if you ask me, one of the biggest silent killers of wildlife at the moment is pesticides and chemicals. Because while we can see plastics and various things in our ecosystems, these are what I class as probably the most unidentified problem that the world has. And the problem is they can float down in our ecosystem and no one can see, touch, and feel them. So they become the killers of everything and the creator of many problems, including cancers and stuff like that. So for me, the number one thing we can do is, if you walk down the aisle of any supermarket or anything, you'll see thousands of chemicals. So the first thing we can do is lose our addiction to chemicals, because everything we put anywhere or on us or whatever, if it has a harmful effect, it will end up in our waterways. Of course, stop programs like, you know, the one we're dealing with here in Southeast Queensland, which is, you know, targeting for one ant, say a fire ant or whatever, they put chemical on every square inch of Gold Coast and Brisbane, and moving to the Sunshine Coast and northern New South Wales. Now, I don't know who came up with that idea, but it is probably the most stupid idea I've ever heard on the planet, to target one ant by killing the entire ecosystem. Because if you put pesticide like that on every single square inch multiple times like they're doing, all that runs into our waterways. But my film Toxic Waters, which is just released, which has just gone into cinemas, is tackling what I believe one of the biggest problems in the world right now. And it shows that once you put these chemicals into our ecosystems, they'll end up everywhere. So they'll affect every animal.
A lot more than fire ants.
Pardon?
It kills a lot more than fire ants.
Oh,
Exactly.
it kills everything, because if you take out the insects, which it immediately affects, you affect the entire food chain. But it doesn't just take out that, because once it gets into the water, it becomes even more toxic. So it is, to me, the truth about what's really harming our ecosystems here in our front door in Australia right now. That's probably one of the biggest problems we have right now. And you've got to understand that these chemical companies are worth billions of dollars into the Australian economy. So it's the inconvenient truth of economy, and they're supported by international money, billions of dollars invested in work programs that deal with these chemicals. So now you've got billion-dollar problems. And I don't think half the people, even in the industry, understand the consequences of that. You know, I don't think this is necessarily a ruthless thing. I just don't think they've put their thinking cap on as
it's
to...
always economy over ecology.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem we're facing, that the truth about what's really harming our animals is the 7 deadly sins, you know, greed, vanity, pride. Like we can look at all these things and we can relate it to the fact we're consumed. We're consumed and we're not looking at the reality of what's happening. So chemicals is a big thing, but, you know, some of the other things that I would like to address is deforestation and development. Like we keep taking, and the infrastructure of roads, and they've just gone nuts, you know. They're trying to put concrete on everything. And this is always taking some kind of ecosystem out. The dragon.
That covers the issue of deforestation and climate change.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Just one so, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The dragon
actually,
who found his...
these are the raffle prizes on the night.
Oh, beautiful. And Swan
that's the first one. Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Which, that won the People's Book Award in London. And that one, which does
they're beautiful.
About deforestation and climate change. But in an enchanting magical story, of course.
Yeah. Well, I think climate change, this is an interesting equation, because climate change is the result of really bad practices over a long period of time. So addressing the causes of that is the important issue that we've got to get back to. So we can talk about the word climate change, but what is climate change? Climate change is, to me right now, it's a brand, because climate change has been labelled and packaged and beautifully sold as that's what's killing us. But is it climate change that's killing us, or are we causing ecological collapse by taking out species after species after species, and indirectly?
Well, I think causing ecological collapse is even if you are a climate change denier.
Well, it's not denying it.
Even if you don't believe in climate change, destroying the ecosystem, irrespective of if this is changing the climate, is self-evidently self-destructive.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't think it's about denying the fact that we have repercussions when you affect ecology, because that's like your body. I look at it like your body, right? If you put poisons into your body, or you harm your body by drilling or killing off certain things that maintain your health, your body's going to react to that. It'll pull all kinds of mechanisms to react to that. It will heat up. It will cool down. Your body will put a fever in. You know, these things, if we look at ourselves as mini planets and our health, if we were to affect our rivers, which I look at like the veins of our planet, by putting something toxic into our bodies, it's going to have an effect on our whole body. And our body will react in symptomatic... Pardon?
It's the web of life. If you pull one strand out, everything starts unraveling.
Yeah.
So that's what I think is the inconvenient truth of our planet right now, that, you know, we're putting harmful things and doing harmful things, even if it's just overdevelopment, that means you're just putting a whole lot of stuff onto your body that how much can it sustain? So yeah, I think there's a lot we can do. There's so much we can do to change this around. Anyone that's in a powerful position as CEO, if you can change something better in your business, if you can make a better decision, if you can go back to your heart and think, hey, we need all this infrastructure, or I'm talking about ecology infrastructure, not concrete infrastructure. We need this fabric of life for our health. They're going to the 30 for 30, 50 by 50 agendas of what's important about ecology. So why are we still harming the ecology to get there? Why don't we stop harming the ecology first? And then more animals, including humans, can exist in a world that's healthy instead of a world that's sort of deteriorating. So if we have, you know what I mean? So if we do want to come to a beautiful holistic equation and we think that's a better world, well, let's act like that now, not by that date or by that date. That's not cool, because a lot of animals and wildlife and everything will be harmed in that journey to get to these perfect equations. So let's look at our front door right now. Let's look at what we're displacing. Let's look at what we're doing, and let's love the planet back to life. That's my philosophy. There's so much love in this world. If we can just look at a bird and see the joy that a bird brings us, or a little wallaby, or our koalas, we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose any of that color. We just want the color of life to remain.
Yeah, I love
it. I love that.
Yes. Love is all you need, right? And in fact, the Animal Action Day logo, the original logo back in 2007, was a love heart of animals.
Yes,
and
there you go.
And we have some stickers, actually, which we do have some stickers left. So we'll have some at our event, the Animal Action Film Festival coming up. And actually early bird tickets, it's cheap as chips, $10 to $20. It'll be $20 at the door, $10 early bird right now, plus booking fee. You can buy 5 tickets, get 1 free up until Friday. So you've got a few days if you want to come and join us. We've got some proceeds going to Aussie Wildlife. We've got Jenny Abbott speaking. We've got a speaker panel of about 8 people. We have also Gemma Lee speaking, Lynn and the 2 Lynns here. The 2 Lynns will be speaking, as well as some other people. Lynn Sutherland, who else have we got on?
Damon Steptoe. He's great too. He lives in a beautiful part of the world and has beautiful forest. He protects all around him. So he's a great character. He's one of us.
Yes. And who else have we got coming? You've got one of your other lady friends there coming as well.
I've got a couple of other people who may be coming. We'll chat about that one after.
Okay, great. All right. So a few other surprises on the panel. So about 7 or 8 people on the panel as well after we show our extraordinary documentaries. And back to the bit about poisoning the planet, the Australian government has been rolling out a $1.2 billion fire ant eradication program. And our 18th annual Animal Action event last year, we did together with Lynn Sutherland, and it was actually called Stop the Toxic Fire Ant Program. And the government's still rolling out these toxic poison. They're basically spreading it from helicopters on large properties. They are sending poison to people in the mail as well. And they're saying in the brochure, it says, put it in your yard, even if there's no fire ants, as they might be under the ground. And what we have a lot of evidence of is it's been killing or poisoning, animals, dogs, cats, cows, or chickens have died immediately after, ingesting the poison. And of course, they're saying it's for your safety. Of course, it sounds kind of similar to something else over the last few years, doesn't it? It's all for your safety, of course. So, if you're going to be, silly enough to put this stuff in your yard, then don't be surprised if you're inherently poisoning yourself or poisoning your animals. You do not have to consent. There's all sorts of things you can do. I recommend check out some Facebook groups. We have Stop the Toxic Fire Ant Program. There's another one called Fire Ant Treatment Alternatives. There's a few Facebook groups there that you can get a lot of information about what to do to say
and
no.
You can go to my website, toxicwaters.com, because there's a lot more stuff coming on that as well. We're going to be putting a lot of leading minds on there to try and come up with some problem solving. And the other thing I wanted to mention with these pesticides and stuff, The other thing that I've been monitoring Australia-wide is the weed control programs. And there's been article after article where they've been announcing we're going to start these weed control in these delicate, beautiful environments. And I've been revisiting these environments, and in 2 years, they've completely destroyed that ecosystem because they've introduced the same chemicals to weed control. And there was a site recently, I'll have to get up the article, but they started a weed control program, and now they're all finding dead koalas everywhere. So these chemicals are so toxic to our native wildlife that it's just insane. The world's gone mad on chemicals. And honestly, this is our number one biggest problem, that Australia is rolling out these huge programs with banned chemicals that have been banned in other places of the world. And we're on steroids here, rolling them out. And these programs are supported with billions of dollars of international money from big companies, agro-science companies and stuff like that, saying this is all perfect for our, agro-sciences. And it's not true. So the problem, I still say the number one thing we can do to protect any animal right now is stop the pesticide programs, stop the weed control programs, and think about this a lot more carefully than what we're doing. And any banned substance that's banned anywhere else in the world should be banned from Australia, not in 5 years or 10 years or ever. It should be banned right now, this second, before it harms more wildlife, more people, more animals, and the whole food chain.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Deforesting and overdevelopment.
Yes, well, the deforestation.
Major problems.
Yes.
So to take down those forests, they when they were doing the ones in Tassie, they used napalm, and then they'd use 1080 poison around when they clear felled it. They would then put purple carrots filled with 1080 poison around the whole circumference of these forests to kill all the marsupials so they wouldn't eat the new shoots. So every single thing has a chemical attached to it as a decision that's made from big corporations as to how to control areas. And this, that 1080 poison is rife throughout all of Australia. You now see these signs with 1080 poison through all the national parks. That, again, the animals get dehydrated, they go to the waterways and they die in the waterways. So that's another problem. The 1080 poison, the weed control, the fire ant control, it's all linked to billions of dollars worth of trade of chemicals. So
yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. And it blows my mind. There's some absolute psychopaths that are in very high places that really are going to, have some very bad karma coming their way, I believe. But anyway, this is unfortunately the animals are at the brunt of this, and inadvertently we're poisoning humans as well, because of course it's poisoning the waterways, which is killing. Killing the humans as well. It's it's absolutely mind-blowing. And as they say in the Thrive documentaries, if you haven't seen Thrive 1 and Thrive 2, I recommend check out the Conscious Community Global Facebook group, which the Thrive 1 and Thrive 2 documentaries say, if you want to know what's going on in the world, follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. So for example, with the fire ant eradication program right now, with the poisons that they're rolling out everywhere, they're actually, these officers are turning up at people's door, and they are actually saying, this is mandated, you have to put this poison, well, they're not calling it poison, but we know it's poison, well, you have to put this on your yard. And if people have animals or health issues, you do not have to put on your yard. You can get trespass signs. And what's actually happening, it's actually making the fire ant problem even worse, because it's actually killing all ants. And ants are one of the best things to actually help eradicate fire ants. There's certain hot water treatments, which we spoke about when I interviewed Trevor Long recently on a Total Truth Show, The Truth About Fire Ants, certain hot water treatments that will actually kill fire ants. But of course, there's no money in that, is there? There's, so you've got to question, what is the agenda behind all of this? You've really got to, question what is going on behind the scenes. And you can definitely make a difference by saying no, and know your rights as well, right? Know your rights, because do not be bullied by these absolute psychopaths. We need to come together as a community. We need to stand together and say, no, enough is enough. And, it's time to step it up. And, because this is absolute war going on right now against the planet, against the animals. And if we want some animals to be around for our future generations, then we need to start doing something now. So, this is part of what the animal action events are about, taking action for animals, and you can support it. Come along to our event, Currumbin RSL, coming up October 5. It's only in a few weeks. Gosh, it's coming around very quickly. It's going to be amazing. It's a fantastic venue there right on the water. And of course, there are some beautiful parts of the world. And at the end of the day, when all humans are dead and gone, no doubt the world will survive eventually. However, what sort of damage are we going to do in the meantime? And I think there's absolutely things we can do. What was that, Lynn?
The world doesn't need us, we need the world.
Yes, there you go. I love that. Yeah, the world doesn't need us, we need the world. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be wrapping up shortly in the next 10 minutes or so. What are some other things that maybe we can do to take action, or to give people a bit of hope out there too, because some of this stuff can get very depressing when you look at what's happening, and sometimes people do feel helpless to do anything. So I think like one thing is gathering in communities and actually sharing knowledge. Get informed, question everything is something that I would say. So Lynn, Santer, with Land of the Free and with your stand for animals.
Definitely. Knowledge is power. There's no question about that. So get yourself informed, and as you say, follow the money trail. If somebody is selling you something that doesn't sound right, feel right, look beneath the veneer. The power people behind the trophy hunting industry are all the rich and shameless, but the motives are pride and or pleasure and or profit. So you've got the people who kill the animals who just get a big ego boost or an adrenaline rush from killing anything. These are the same people who would probably happily have killed certain forms of human beings if that was still legal, if you get my drift. But they can't do that anymore. But they can, well, not legally, but they can legally kill animals. So there's that group. So it's the pride and the pleasure, but then there's the profit. And those are the people that you really need to take a look at, because they are the root of the problem. These are the safari operators, and above that, corrupt and self-interested politicians and governments who allow this still to be legal, because it's all about the money. So yes, knowledge is power. You're absolutely right, and write those letters. But you also, I was, as I said earlier, overwhelmed and depressed when I first became involved, because the issues are so big and you think one individual can't make a difference. One individual can make a difference. But if you're having that moment of it's too much, it's too horrible, I can't make a difference, go and smell a flower, listen to a bird, realize that there is still beauty out there, and there are still beautiful people out there who genuinely want to do good, and you are not alone, and you can make a difference. And as you also said, Aldwyn, community is everything.
Thank you, Lynn. That's beautiful. Lynn Santer. Lynn Sutherland, what other final words do you have to share with us today to help empower our beautiful viewers to take action for animals and to not feel overwhelmed and depressed and angry about what's going on in the world? Too much, anyway. Yeah.
I think connection to your place, to your country. It's not just an Indigenous saying. It should be inaugural in the essence of our being. So when people say, I love the Indigenous philosophy, I absolutely love it. I was born with the same philosophy in whatever color skin I happen to wear. Connection to your surroundings, your place, where you are is absolutely everything. And if we put up a card in front of ourselves and say, what can I do better in my life right now? And we start ticking our own box first, then we can also realize sometimes we're indirectly part of something and we don't even know how we're enabling it. So if you look at where the money and power is coming from, we could be buying products from these people without realizing that. So like I said, the first thing I would do is I don't use many chemicals in my life. I put in this much washing up detergent. I only use the minimalistic possible amount I can. That's one thing I do. I don't just go and buy new clothes all the time. Like, I look at the beauty of life as being most of what I find worthwhile on this planet. So like Lynn said, I'll go and sit in nature. I'll go and chat to a bird. I'll chat to a fish because I find them entertaining and I reckon I can connect to them. So I'll go underwater and I'll, like, the amount of whales I've gone, hello, you're beautiful. Like, come and play with me. If you connect with everything around you, you realize there's 6 degrees of separation between us and the beautiful animal kingdom out there. And people laugh at me, and sometimes I say, I don't want to kill my spider in my backyard. They go, I said, I'm not going to spray it. No, I said, I feel guilty knocking down their webs because I know they're providing some kind of mosquito patrol for me. If I don't want to get bitten by mosquitoes, I keep other insects there that will eat them, like the lizards or whatever it happens to be. So we don't understand all the connections that play out to keep our world healthy. So if we look at ourselves first and how we can enter the dragon. If we can bring ourselves to realize that we're part of an ecosystem, we don't demand what happens to that ecosystem. So you look at, I again go back to the 7 deadly sins, the pride, the vanity, all these things. If we can make a better version of ourselves by not buying, thinking we need to buy the best of this or the best of that. So if we don't have to keep supplying the corporations with big money, well, then humanity will start to change their priorities in what's important. So that's my little step, is connect back to nature. What can you do in your little circle? Support things, big things like Lynn's movie, or understand the bigger pictures. It's vital as well. And don't put down anyone trying to be a better version of themselves. Even if they're the head of a corporation, they suddenly go, I want to be a better version. Great. Can you be a better version? And now, let's do it. If you're the head of a CEO watching this and you can be a better version and you can save that forest from just being napalmed, please take be a hero and do that. That's one step in the fabric of life. If your development is going to take out an ecosystem that keeps us healthy and keeps us alive, don't develop it. How can we work out better ways of doing these things without needing bigger buildings or bigger infrastructure or, more things in the sky? Like, that's all going to have an effect. We want drones flying everywhere. What about the birds? That's one thing. Less is more. Less is more.
Yes, less is more. Absolutely. I think there's a lot we can learn from roosters, actually. I adopted 5 chicks 4 months ago from my mum's nursing home, which all ended up being roosters. And it's interesting, roosters are naturally self-expressed. That all of them ended up being roosters. They're all naturally self-expressed, right? Roosters are the first thing in the morning, they're here, they're out. It's like, hey, let's go, let's get into the day, And what happens to the poor rooster? They get their head chopped off mostly, right? Mostly they either get dumped or they get their head chopped off. And this is what happens to humans, that the fear that happens for humans who step up and speak up is they fear they're going to get their head chopped off. We have to overcome this fear. We have to move beyond the fear. We have to learn to appreciate self-expression. We need to, there's so much we can learn from the rooster. And I did a whole post about it yesterday on socials. And thankfully I found a good home for my 5 roosters because they're not allowed in suburbia. And this is why a lot of people dump them, but they're absolutely adorable. And when you connect with animals, I talk to the roosters all the time, and when I passed them on and handed them over to their new earth mothers, they're all so happy. All 5 roosters are so happy. I'm happy to report. However, I went above and beyond. I spent a bit of time to find some good homes for those roosters. And there are amazing people out there doing extraordinary things for animals. And so there's no reason for any animal cruelty. Okay, let's do our bit to help have awareness, appreciation, respect for all animals, which is the foundation of what we do with the Animal Action events. Come along and check out our amazing event coming up. Now, as we start to wrap up, and Lynn Santer, you've done about 50 books. I mean, the last 2 you showed are extraordinary. Swan Song, absolutely brilliant, and Dragon Who found his wings. These need to be Hollywood blockbuster sort of, animation.
Oh, there you go.
They absolutely need to be,
Oh,
and hopefully they
people
will.
working on that.
There we
Yes.
go. It's in the wings.
Animated musical feature films, yes.
Beautiful. It's in the wings, literally. So that's very, very cool. We're going to put lots of good vibes your way for that to happen. Now, Lynn Santer, how can people connect with you? We are wrapping up very shortly. How can people connect with you? We've got some lovely comments coming in. Thank you so much. Oh, we've got Simon Stretton. G'day, Linny. It's like the two Linnies. We've got two Ronnies, the two Linnies. G'day, Linny from Simon. Hey, Simon, good to see you there.
Hey, Simon.
And Linny also chats with dingoes too. Very nice.
Chat with dingoes. I love dingoes. Dingoes are our beautiful wild dogs of Australia, and Simon looks after dingoes, and he looks after them very, very well. So he's one of our heroes.
Oh, good on you, Simon.
When I was a teenager, I stole my father's steak from the fridge and fed it to dingoes.
Oh, wow. She stole the steak.
I stole my father's steak from the fridge and went and hand-fed it to dingoes.
Oh, I'm proud of you.
Good on you. Good on you, Lynn Santer. Okay, so for people...
dingoes were very happy.
That's amazing. And
dingoes get a rough time. Dingoes are getting 1080 poisoned in Kosciuszko National Park as we speak. They're closing the park to do feral programs, and 1080 poison is their go-to for so many animals, and it's cruel because it's one of the worst ways you can die. So dingoes are under assault as our national dog. These were the original dogs of Australia. It seems that anything that is not, that has been born and bred in this country, is under assault.
Yeah,
so we got to look after dingoes. Thanks, Simon.
They have been demonized, absolutely. However, we talk to them, we appreciate them, I think all animals are here for a reason, including human animals for some crazy reason as well. I think
because we're going to evolve.
That's right. We're in a transition at the moment. Now
we're
wrapping up.
Oh, you wanted my website. So
yes, please.
For the movies, landofthefreemovie.com, singular. And for the books, these books, as you said, there are others, but for these books, swanlakepress.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And do you have a favourite quote or motto you'd like to share with us, Lynn Santer?
Well, I've already done the one about the drops in the oceans and the tsunami.
Yes.
And I also like to say, if it is to be, it's up to me. But I think my favourite is, you are only ever bound by your imagination, and your imagination is boundless.
Love that. Thank you so much. Amazing. Lynn Santer, Lady of the Lake and Land of the Free, extraordinaire crusader, animal crusader, doing an extraordinary job. And Lynn Sutherland, where can people connect with you?
So you can go to my website, travelwildtv.com. Travelwildtv.com. And I'm also on YouTube, Travel Wild TV YouTube. So travelwildtv.com and Travel Wild TV on YouTube.
Beautiful. Okay, so go there.
ToxicWaters.com for the film, but it's in progress. But eventually toxicwaters.com. Yeah.
Okay.
But travelwildtv.com, you'll get all the links.
Okay. Beautiful.
I have to go. My carer is here for Mum. I've got to go. So thank you. And
thank you.
I look forward to seeing you on the 5th.
Thank you so much. We'll see you on 5. Thank you. And we're about to wrap up as well. So
Travel Wild TV YouTube is also where, if they want to see some of my past films, it's got a lot of decades to go yet, but some of my older films are on Travel Wild TV on YouTube.
Beautiful. And do you have a quote or motto you'd like to share with us, Lynn Sutherland from Travel Wild TV?
Live, love, free.
Beautiful. Live, love, free. Beautiful. And there's our little animal action logo up in the corner. I've popped it up there. Thank you so much, Lynn Sutherland. Amazing. Can't wait to do this event with you October 5. And for those who want to connect with me, just hop along to linktr.ee/Aldwyn. And if you want to register for the event, at the top of those links there, linktr.ee/Aldwyn, the top of the links there, you will see the link to the event, Animal Action Film Festival. Early bird tickets close in just 2 days. Make sure you you get your ticket. Get a group of tickets, bring some friends, buy 5 tickets, get 1 free. They're only $10 each at the moment, and at the door they're going to be $20. Next week they go to $15. So get your tickets now, supporting a great cause, Aussie Wildlife, as well as some other animal charities as well. And a quote I want to leave you with here today, I've already talked about, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Another one I absolutely love is a Margaret Mead quote, and it is, a small group of thoughtful people can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Thanks to Margaret Mead for that quote. Any final words, Lynn, Sutherland?
No, love animals.
Love animals. Peace to the world. Peace to the world. Much love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Share the love. If you've enjoyed this today, please share this video or audio, whatever you're tuning into. Let us know what you thought of it, what you learned today, and we'll look forward to seeing you back on another amazing Media Queen TV episode soon. Thank you so much to the 2 Linnies. Yay. Thank you. See you soon.
Thanks for
See you
watching.
October 5. Bye. See you. Bye.